Of all the rocks upon which we build our lives, we are most dependent on the family. The family is that most important foundation. And we are called to recognize and honor how critical every father is to that foundation. They are teachers and coaches, they're mentors, and they're role models. They are examples of success and the men who constantly push us towards success. But if we're honest with ourselves, we'll admit that too many fathers are also missing. Too many fathers are MIA. Too many fathers are AWOL. Missing from too many lives and too many homes. They've abandoned their responsibilities. They're acting like boys instead of men.
Out of all the lies we choose to believe, the most scandalous lie of all is the one this man repeated in that speech. A lie repeated in every ghetto, suburb, street corner and palace of the realm. A lie so big and so transparently false that it makes the truth itself redundant. That's right. This lie puts the truth out of business, because what it really reveals is that nobody, not even those who are sworn to defend truth, could care less about the truth. If not, how else would you, assuming you're a fair-minded and reasonably intelligent person, explain the glaring omissions from Mr. Obama's speech on the impact on cause for fatherlessness? Because, like everyone else who claims to be addressing the problem of fatherlessness, he laid the blame entirely on fathers. A problem which by necessity demands the participation of a man and woman is presented as a problem caused only by men. Later on in the speech he applauds single mothers for their heroism. And heroism here amounts to spreading their legs, getting pregnant, becoming single mothers and maintaining their broods on taxpayers' money, of which few of them ever lifted anything other than their asses to earn. It was Mother's Day over here in England yesterday, another female-centered day in the calendar, just like the other 364 days of the year, on which we were called upon yet again to worship at the altar of Goddess Woman. I'm going to take this opportunity to force into your consciousness the pink elephant sitting in the middle of the room that you would rather ignore in the debate on the cause of fatherlessness. That pink elephant is mothers themselves. There's a long-standing conspiracy of silence to conceal the role that women play in fatherlessness. This conspiracy has recruited everyone, save a tiny handful of men like me, into its ranks. In a world of uncertainty where everything is up for question, the one thing that goes unquestioned is the notion that men are solely to blame for fatherlessness. Everyone's agreed that men are responsible for fatherlessness. Why? Because men have sex with women, and men make women pregnant. The obvious inference being that women are sexually passive victims of irresponsible men who are left holding the baby. But don't you find it odd and illogical that the assault on fatherlessness only ever begins at the point where a child exists and the father is now absent? Why don't they ever attack fatherlessness much earlier in the process? Why do the likes of Obama never attack the cause of fatherlessness at its root, the mother? In his speech, Obama links a number of social pathologies to fatherlessness, lead among these being poverty. He's admitting that women are having children and bringing them into deprived circumstances. Do women therefore not have a responsibility to defer childbirth until they are in a better position to support and raise children? What about that responsibility, Mr. Obama? Women are far from the sexually passive victims they're portrayed to be by their own victim-filled accounts and by social commentators of all stripes. On the contrary, women themselves are the ones who declared their sexual liberation some 40 years ago. That claim to sexual freedom came on the backs of new abortion rights and the contraceptive pill, both of which give women absolute control over the timing of childbirth. So in light of those simple truths, it really staggers the mind how people persist in blaming fatherlessness on the people least able to control it. Fathers. It seems sexual liberation means sex without consequence for women, while for men it means persecution and punishment. Mother's role in fatherlessness is not confined to before pregnancy or childbirth. We can make the case against mothers anywhere in the chain and still find mothers to be the leading cause of absentee fathers. Respected research, not Oprah, Tyra, or the good black man, shows that a mother's attitude to father involvement is the key determinant of whether a father stays involved in his children's lives. If the mother actively and constructively encourages father involvement, the more likely he is to remain in his children's lives. If she's indifferent or hostile to the father, then she will abuse her position as custodial parent to disrupt the father-child relationship, until the father simply stops trying. This practice is so common, it even has a name. It's called parental alienation. It's where the mother exploits the legally embedded presumption that fathers are dangerous, and makes all manner of obscene accusation against the father in court hearings over access disputes. It is now standard practice for lawyers to advise mothers to claim to be in fear of the father, since this automatically invokes the restraining order, courtesy of violence against women laws. The effect of this is to undermine the father's case for custody or access in later proceedings. It doesn't matter that the accusations are unsubstantiated or later proven false. What about fatherlessness created by divorce? Who initiates 80% of divorces? Wives. Now I know there will be those who try to justify this using the good old abuse excuse. But the truth is, abuse or cruelty is only cited in 6% of divorces. So I will be deleting the comments of those who raised this red herring. Infidelity is cited by men and women in equal numbers, so those women who love a cheating dog story won't find an avenue to blame men and play victim on that one either. The leading reason women give for destroying stable families is drifting apart, not feeling appreciated, boredom, all bundled up in the neutral phrase, irreconcilable differences. The real reason women divorce is the same reason most people do anything, because they can. They walk away with their children and most of whatever assets were accumulated in the marriage, also taking a huge chunk of their ex-husband's future earnings and pensions. The reason so many women have children out of wedlock is exactly the same, because they can, courtesy of the package of welfare benefit entitlements activated by pregnancy and childbirth. There never has been a movement of men who claimed children don't need fathers. The most vocal voices diminishing the value or need for fathers has been that of mothers, Oprah, Tyra, and a host of other rabidly anti-male forces that have dominated the debate on family life. A 70% out-of-wedlock birth rate and an 80% wife-initiated divorce rate is not the result of irresponsible husbands and fathers abandoning their families. It's not the result of a few women making some bad choices in men. It's a mass movement, a matriarchal takeover, a coup to displace fatherhood and break the supremacy of patriarchal power. Blaming the poor outcomes for fatherless children on absent fathers is as absurd as blaming the police for crime that occurs in their absence. How can you blame someone who was not there for the outcomes of the actions of someone who was there? I thought an alibi which placed you away from the scene of a crime was all the proof needed to show your innocence. Fatherlessness is indeed the cause of most of the social pathologies we see in our communities today, but absent fathers are not to blame for that. The blame lies with mothers who deliberately create fatherless homes by welfare or by divorce. The father's position in the family has been weakened to the point where fathers can only look on powerlessly as their children become wards of a welfare state that people like Mr. Obama want to expand and empower themselves to encroach even further into people's private lives. There are no voices seeking justice, only father-blaming interests who want to perpetuate the myth of the deadbeat dad because they profit of the misery and dysfunction that fatherlessness causes. Well, I give notice that more and more of us are waking up to this corruption, and we will fight against it. Thus ends my address to mothers on Mother's Day. Leah.